In 1917, Ervin Houchens, our guest this afternoon, opened a store, a general store in a one-room building on his father's farm in Barron County near Glasgow. In 1919, Mr. Houchens moved over to Crossroads, and in 1931 he opened his first grocery in Glasgow, Kentucky. In 1945, he moved to Bowling Green and began operating a wholesale business to supply his growing numbers of grocery stores. And in Bowling Green, where we are filming this interview this afternoon at Western Kentucky University, Ervin Houchens now operates 50 supermarkets, 3 family variety stores, and 8 or 9 shopping center complexes in southern and western Kentucky and in Tennessee. About 25 years ago, Ervin Houchens created the Houchens Foundation, and through this he has given millions of dollars to charities and educational projects in western Kentucky. It is a matter of pride with him that he has never turned down any church in this area for a building loan or for support in any kind of project for which they've asked him for assistance. Mr. Houchens, most people in this country kind of dream of retiring at 65 if they've earned enough money to take their Social Security and quit. But long before that age, you'd made enough money to stop working. And at 72, I guess you started drawing Social Security, didn't you?
Sure did.
But a friend of yours told me that you probably went on after that to make more money than you had before you were, than all the money you'd made before you were 70. Tell me, what keeps you going?
The desire to serve the public.
Desire to serve the public?
Yes, desire to serve the public.
Well, I guess you've been with the public so long, you just don't want to leave them, do you?
Well, I'm not fixing to leave them.
Do you have any hobbies?
Until they call me upstairs.
Do you have any hobbies?
I guess nothing more than just for business.
How much time do you put in your store?
Well, I put in full week.
Do you still get around and go to each store in the areas like you used to?
I don't get around to them often. I used to because I don't like to drive myself, and I have to depend on some of the other boys going with me. Don't get in them as often as I used to.
It's said that you revolutionized the grocery business in western Kentucky by introducing more efficiencies and new methods, and that you really introduced supermarkets to this section of the state. Are your business fundamentals different today than they were when you were starting out?
I would say not, no. No changes.
What were your principles in business?
Well, I've always felt like when I was going to make a deal with a man, I want to deal with him in a way I could deal with him again. I've never thought it was good business, as some people say, give the guy a good cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
My thinking was, if I give him a square deal, treat him right, he'll deal with me again. If I don't, he won't.
Is your competition tougher today than it was when you were younger?
I would say that, yeah, competition is keener than it was when I was younger, because you didn't have the number of people in business you do now.
What's the difference between your stores and other supermarkets?
Well, I guess management and ideas of running the store is about all different you could say. I think you know that we've never sold an item under cost to generate business, bring people into our stores.
You don't cut prices that way.
And limit the amount they can buy. We've never advertised any item and put a limit on it, or we've never advertised an item and say you got to buy something else to buy it. Mm-hmm. It just never appealed to me, and I don't think it's good business.
What was the hardest decision you ever made in business?
Oh, that'd be a tough one. There's been a lot of decisions to be made the last 60 years. And
was leaving Glasgow and coming to Bowling Green, going into another county, was that hard for you to do?
No, we had stores in Bowling Green since we've moved here. In fact, moved here in '44, in October '44, bought J.D. Reynolds wholesale out. I'd lost my warehouse in Glasgow by fire and had an opportunity to purchase his business here, and we purchased that. And I wouldn't say that was a hard decision to do, because we had already 2 stores here at that time in Bowling Green, had since 1938.
What was the best deal you think you ever made?
I guess going in the grocery business.
What was the worst mistake you ever made?
The worst mistake I ever made in my entire business was letting that sugar market get away with me 2 years ago.
Now, how did that happen?
Well, sugar was about $9.03 a bale for 12 5-pound packages of sugar, bags of sugar. And it went up to about $44 something a bale within a few months. And I got caught in transit, bought and in transit and in the warehouse about 6 or 8 cars of sugar when it quit selling and started going down. And it went from $44 and something a bale to $9.42.
So that wasn't too sweet a deal.
Sweet a deal. That's the biggest loss I ever took in business in my entire life, combining all the losses on merchandise.
Who taught you the grocery business?
Well, I just accidentally got into the grocery business. I had this country store until 1931, had an opportunity to buy a bankrupt grocery store in Glasgow in '31, bought it. Didn't know anything about the grocery business, just gradually grew into it.
Was there anybody else in your family ever in business like this?
No, not according to the history of the family, which traces the family all the way back to England. There never was a businessman by the name of Houchens in business.
There never was?
Never was up to my time.
How many relatives do you have associated with you in the management of your business now?
I have 4 nephews. Just have 4 nephews, and they're all with me.
You have one daughter, is that right?
I have 1 daughter, yeah.
And are she and her family the other stockholders with you in the Houchens Enterprises?
Yes, her and Mr. Biggers, my son-in-law, and grandchildren own all the voting stock.
I see.
Now the Class B stock, some employees, we sold employees some stock a few years ago, but haven't sold in for several years now. We discontinued selling even stock to employees because of it was creating some problem. Maybe we might have to be filed some reports that we didn't care to file, and as a closed corporation, family-owned corporation, didn't seem necessary to let any more stock out.
How do you train your managers, Mr. Houchens?
Well, we usually just hire some young fellow who wants to work and bring him in. As he develops, we bring him on up through the organization. We haven't went out and hired a manager, grocery manager, for years.
They all come up through the ranks.
All come up through the ranks.
Some people say that you've overcome the negative attitudes that some Americans have about chains. What's different about your stores and other chains in your community relations?
Well, I guess one of the differences is when we go into a town and open a store, we consider ourselves a part of that town, a citizen of that town. And we have always shared our share of responsibility in the town, participating in everything. All other citizens participate in that town.
Now, the
Chamber of Commerce, churches, anything that, which I think if you were talk to the people around Russellville, that you'll know that they say that they have a saying that don't worry about what he's going to do, that's what we're going to do, and then he'll do his part.
Right.
That's my position.
That picnic that you have every year at your home place in Barron County, it draws about 10,000 people to the Houchens farm near Glasgow. What do you do to keep your employees with you? They seem to be very loyal to you, and you don't have much turnover, do you?
Not too much turnover, and most of them have been. Most of the people with us today, key people, have been with us for years, and the last thing in the world we're going to think about is we're going to fire somebody. That's the biggest problem I've had, and it's the toughest job I've ever had. Is to something come up, fella's done something, you have to just tell them we just have to let you go. It's one of the saddest things to me that can happen to me. We have a trust fund in which we put a percentage of employees' salary in trust form each year. And that percentage, and it's, if a man started with us at 21 and stay with us until he's 60 or retired at 65, he'd probably be in better shape than most people are in business. We had one young fellow that retired at 55, and the program hadn't been in effect but about 15 years, and he drew better than $1,000 a year when he left us. And for the years he'd been with us, you know. I mean, the years he was old.
Do you think a young person today could start out as you have and build a grocery company from scratch into 50 stores?
Sure. Greater opportunity than there was when I started.
Why is there greater opportunity?
Well, when I started, I had $300 in that little store out there to put that stock in there, and if I'd have went to the bank and wanted to borrow $100, they'd wanted all my family to sign a note and part of my neighbors. And now a young man's got any ability at all and determination to make good, there's plenty of people put him in business just to furnish him the goods at wholesale.
So you think there's more capital available today than there was when you were coming along?
More, that'd be, there's no way to compare that. It's the amount of capital that is available today to what there was then.
Well, you are competing against companies that have brought in people who've gone to college, gone to business school, people who have financing from northern banks available to them. Have you felt handicapped in any way by not having gone through any kind of formal training, or did you learn it as you went along?
I just learned it as I went along. Experience is a great teacher.
Are you all planning any expansions? Are you going to quit now?
No, we're ready to open a store anywhere. If somebody finds us a location and can convince them there's a need for that store.
Are you looking at little towns or large towns?
Little towns.
Do you think
I'm still a country boy. I don't want to get involved in the big cities.
Do you think there's still growth potential in our small towns in Kentucky?
Right at the present time, I wish I knew one I thought there was, because I'd be ready to go there and be talking about opening a store there. Best thing we can do today is find somebody who wants to sell a store in one of these towns and buy it.
What do you look for in a town when you decide, when you're hunting for a location? What makes you invest in a town?
Well, feel there's a need for the store. The town needs a store. Feel that there's an opportunity there for us. If they already have more stores and the town will support, it'd be very foolish for us to go there and open a store.
Mr. Houchens, how would you like to be remembered by your customers and employees in the history books of Kentucky when they write down, they come to H for Houchens, and how would you like to be recalled after you're gone in terms of your business career?
Well, I think the proudest thing I can say today regarding the business, proud of, is that when I decided to open my little store on the farm, my father said, "You don't do it. You didn't want me to do it at all." But when he seen I was determined to do it, he said, "I want you to make me a promise." And I said, "What is it?" "When you make an obligation, know pretty well how you're going to pay that obligation. Don't get involved and owe a lot of people you can't pay." Well, that stayed with me, and he was sincere about it because he thought there wasn't anything worse than a man owe somebody an obligation, owe money, and not pay it. I've been able to live up to that. It's 60 years, and there's never a bank, a company, an organization of any kind that ever discounted a penny to get me to pay an obligation. I always paid them all 100%. The whole 60 years. I went through two pretty tough, just after we went in business in 1921, 20 and 21, a lot of people don't know it. That's about the most critical time in this country on people in business. The market dropped so fast. It wasn't just sugar, it was everything you owned dropped. The only problem was I didn't have much drop. If I'd have had $30,000 in, instead of $300, I'd been bankrupt in 1923.
But today, bankruptcy is the least of your worries, and you're still looking forward to expanding and putting up more stores with a Houchens label.
Yes.
Or the Houchens sign on the front door. Thank you, Ervin Houchens. Thank you for being with us for Bicentennial Profiles. This is Al Smith saying good evening.
Thank you.